Welcome to the Avanti Woman podcast. With each episode, each conversation, we aim to empower, connect, and build women to move forward, feel confident, and thrive in healthcare, finance, entrepreneurship, and philanthropy. We're glad you're here.
Hi, everyone. Nairi and Sarah here with the Avanti Woman podcast, and welcome to the second part in a series on women warriors. Breast cancer was not their death sentence. It is October, National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and what better way than to honor and celebrate women who have fought and conquered this disease. Let's hear their stories and their journey from diagnosis to triumph and every emotion felt in between. We have two beautiful women, two warriors, Sima and Ramona. Welcome, ladies. How are you this evening?
Very good, very good. How are you?
We are doing great. We're so honored to have you here, and we'd love to hear your stories. And, I'm so honored to also say my co-host, Sarah Sitak, she's a survivor. And Sarah, take it away.
All right, wonderful. So first of all, thank you very much, ladies. I am also honored to have you on this podcast with us on such a special occasion, this month of awareness for breast cancer. But I want to get started out. I want our listeners to hear about you first. So I'm going to have you introduce yourself and a little about yourself. What do you do? And then we're going to go deep into the dive of the discussion with breast cancer. So Sima, let's start out with yourself. Tell us a little about yourself.
I'm 58 years old. And why I'm mentioning age is because when it comes to cancer, it seemed to be older was better, safer. So, that was funny though. That was funny. Post-menopause was better. But anyway, my name is Sima Hovannessian. I am an entrepreneur, mother, wife, and a survivor. I still haven't gotten my clearance yet, but I'm in the midst of it, and I'm pretty sure it'll be all fine, and by mid to 2023 I'll be clear of everything, hopefully. But this was a very difficult journey because I'm a very strong and not a stubborn person, but like things like this don't happen to me. We wake up and we go on about our day and everything's great, and then you get a mammogram. That's what happened in my case. And I get it every year, just like a good girl. I do my physicals. I take care of everything. And they called me back for ultrasound. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. I'll go back in panic. Then they called me back for biopsy. Now, again, in panic, not as much. And while I was having biopsy, I asked the doctor, what's going on? Is there something? And she said, yeah, you have a 95% tumor. I go, what? Yeah. I go, is it malignant? Oh, yeah, it's malignant.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, I was dumbfounded.
Right, because a year before you were fine.
Yeah.
I was fine. That was great.
So I want to dive into that moment. And, I know Sima, it's going to be 14 years now. We met, we are part of a book club together that we love and cherish, and it's wonderful. So we get to see each other every month religiously. And I know when I got the call from Sima asking about it. So I want to dive into it. But before we go there, Ramona, I'm going to have you introduce yourself, and then I'm going to talk about that moment. And I'm going to ask you guys, Ramona, after you introduce yourself, that moment when you got the phone call and that what you were feeling exactly. So, and I'm going to come back to you, Sima. So Ramona, tell us, introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Ramona Kies. I am 61 and I was diagnosed at 58. I'm going to kind of go along the same way Sima did. I always did my breast exams, self-testing, and went in, and he said, I had an angel who worked at the breast center. She is a niece of a good friend of mine, and she took my mammogram and she ran it over because she thought she saw something, and she ran it over to the radiologist, and he says, see if you can get her to come back. So I was on my way home. They called me. They said, can you come back for a biopsy? I mean, within like an hour.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, let me just turn around and come back, just like you said, Seema, just all right, whatever. So I went back. They did the needle biopsy and went home, didn't think a thing about it. And then the next morning is when they called. So kind of the same, then we'll talk about that in a minute. But so I'm a mom. My daughter's 25. So I mean, you're always a mom, but I don't have any little kids. Obviously, I'm 61. But I'm a mom, I'm a friend, I've worked forever. I love to travel, as Nairi knows. I like to garden and cook and eat. And I got a wonderful rescue cat. I like to walk dogs at the rescue too, and I volunteer a lot.
And I have to say, I've known Ramona for over 20 years. She's my sister's best friend and traveling buddy. And this woman, one of her signatures is her long golden curly hair, blonde, right? Which she lost. And we're going to talk about that too. But again, invincible spirit, and never once complained about anything. So welcome, Ramona.
Talk about that, yeah. So that's kind of, so he called me the next morning, and then we can go on to the next part. Like you said.
But it seems like you guys, Sima and Ramona, you guys have similarities in your experience and that diagnosis. And I just know from my experience, when the doctor confirmed that it is malignant, it's one of those occasions in life where you'll never forget it, right? And exactly, and you can relive that moment almost. And I'm getting chills while I'm just saying this. But tell us about what you felt and what went through your mind and the emotions that you felt going through your body and in your mind. And I can account for Sima. I know she is one tough cookie, and she is a fighter, not just through this, but even before cancer. What Sima shared about herself, absolutely, she is one tough cookie. But I want to know and share with everybody what you felt at that moment.
Okay, so I'm lying on a table. They're gonna do biopsy.
Yeah.
Needle biopsy. And they told me they're gonna do 15-minute compression after the biopsy. So I'm imagining this 200-pound nurse sitting on my face, like literally, like she's gonna come. And so I was so concerned about that. I'm serious. I was so concerned, and that was my main concern. So the whole time I'm like, how long is the biopsy? Am I gonna get anxious? I don't want anybody like sitting on my face. And she's like, no, we're not gonna sit on your face. We're gonna sit next to it. I'm like, okay. So the whole time, and I think I probably irritated. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. The whole time, I'm like, if I knew it, I would have asked for Ativan. So I'm like going on, and I probably irritated this doctor to a really serious point. And then I'm like, by the way, what do you see? And she goes, yeah, it's 95%. She goes, you have malignant cancer. I'm like, are you sure? She's like, yeah. I'm like, how sure? She goes, 95%. So now I'm thinking, which is worse? 200-pound nurse sitting on me, or me having a malignant cancer? But I'm still not believing. You know what? I think, denial is probably one of the best. Yeah. Is it a feeling? Is it an emotion? What is it? Is it a defense mechanism?
Yeah.
So denial, I it's not like I was denying it, but I was like, what?
Yeah.
And then, like, what?
Yeah.
It's just like, that doesn't happen to me. No, not at all. So, they did the biopsy. At that moment, everything, I didn't mind about the compression. Everything changed. So now I'm thinking, how am I gonna tell my family?
Yeah.
And that worried me more than the cancer. So my
That's
husband
another
was
thing about
outside.
women and mothers, right?
Yeah.
You're not worried about yourself. You're worried about your kids and
About
your
your
family.
family, about my kids, yeah. And my mom, because my dad he was a triple transplant patient. So he had
Oh,
heart transplant, kidney transplant, liver transplant. And my mom took care of him diligently for 15 years. He was in the ICU for like a whole year in Cedars-Sinai. And my mom went there every single day. And it was just like this poor woman. Like I was thinking about her, like, what is she going to do? Like, finally, she's going to have her own thing. My dad survived after 15 years. He lived for 15 years after that long procedure, long after those complicated surgeries. And I'm like, this woman's going to travel. Like, what am I going to do? And she was going to go to Mexico. Like, what am I going to do? What am I going to say? My son's studying for the bar. It's like the
yeah.
most inconvenient time. And I'm like, can we delay this?
It's never
Like
convenient.
my
No.
son studying for the bar. My mom's gonna go to Mexico. This is midst of COVID. This was last year. This is June or at the end of 2021. Like, what am I
And
gonna
one
do?
more thing you had going on? Wasn't Lauren engaged at that time?
Yes, Lauren just got engaged.
Is that your
Just,
daughter?
yeah, my daughter just got engaged maybe like a month before that. They have wedding preparations, and she's like planning all these the dress fittings and looking for dresses, and I don't even know what I have. Okay, we don't know. I mean, they say you had cancer.
And I have to add, and Sima is also a very successful leader of a business. So very successful.
Yeah, I was working full time. So
Yeah.
that was
Wow.
another thing. Like and I remember when my dad got sick, he goes, I thought I was irreplaceable, but you see, I'm not. So I didn't even I'm like, I'll work out of the house. I'm like, okay, I'll have chemo on Monday, 2 days rest. Wednesday, I'll go to work. I have no idea what this is. Like, I have no idea. So we go back and forth, back and forth. They called me like, okay, go to biopsy. You have another biopsy. They called me to another type of a mammogram biopsy where they squash you and
Yeah.
they stick a needle. And I'm like, okay, do whatever you have to do. And luckily, I have very good friends in medical industry. So everybody just they were so helpful. So I got a very good team of doctors in USC. So they said, it's cancer clinic day. I'm like, okay. So you're going to see 6 doctors. I'm like, okay. Well, that day, the day that I left the biopsy, the first biopsy, they wrapped me up like I'm a mummy. I mean, they just wrap you. I left and my husband's looking. He was in the parking lot. He goes, what is that? I'm like, I have cancer. He goes, what? He goes, no, you don't. I'm like, yeah, I do. No, you don't. I'm like, I do. You have to deal with it. I have cancer.
I do.
And then he goes, we don't get cancer. I'm like, yeah, we do. We got cancer.
We do now.
We do now. And like, how
It's like you went shopping and I picked up cancer.
yeah, something like that. We were laughing about it. So how am I going to say it? And then we did the USC clinic thing. 6 hours, 10 doctors in and out. Everybody comes, does their song and the dance and leaves that. Oh my, I was overwhelmed, tired. It didn't register. I saw the radiation doctor, the oncologist, the surgeon, the other surgeon, this doctor, like they all came and went. They came and went, and I'm like, okay, I'm in great hands. This is what I'm gonna do. Whatever they tell me, I'm gonna do it. And I did exactly what they told me, except we need second opinion. I have a angel friend who's oncologist, and I didn't even ask him to handle my disease, but he was helping me, channeling me to the right sources. He said, let's go to City of Hope. I went to City of Hope. Same thing. Everything was everything was the same as USC. Well, USC is closer. I'm like, okay, let's go to USC. And they're a little bit more, they care about cosmetics a little bit more. They gave me the day of the radiation, not radiation, chemo. It was 9-hour chemo. They told me I have to have a 9-hour chemo.
Jesus, wow.
I had 2 kinds of cancers, and I was triple positive.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Just like Roxanne, remember, Sarah?
Right.
Triple positive. Yeah.
Ramona, what were you diagnosed with?
I was HER2 positive.
You
You
were
too.
HER2, her HER, and then
Yeah,
number
I
2.
was the same. But were you triple, like the other receptors? What were they?
Just HER2, I was stage 2A. It was, and stage 1 is where it stays in the duct. And then if you're 2, that means it's left the duct. So,
Yeah.
but it was so
Yeah,
tiny,
but
they thought they could just,
they
you
have
know,
3 receptors. When they said triple positive, was positive, positive, positive. HER2 was my last one. That's the one. Yeah, so you were HER2. So you went probably, when was your cancer?
2019, I got my radiation in 2020. I was one of the last ones in the door to get radiation
Oh my
before
goodness.
everything shut down. Yeah, I was really like, everybody was masked and it was a paranoid time, but
Ramona, now yours is a whole other complication because right at the
cusp
pinnacle
of closing.
the pinnacle of the cusp of closing, the pinnacle of COVID and all this unknown. What did you feel? I mean, you had the additional stress of COVID and all that, but what did you feel when the doctor said, yes, it's cancer?
well, I was right here working and my phone rang and he says, hi, Ramona, is this a good time? I said, yeah, because he told me to call me at 8:30, called me at 8:30. And he says, you have cancer. And the first thing, like Seymour probably said, I said, are you kidding? He
Yeah.
goes, no, I'm not kidding. I said, you're sure? He
Yeah.
goes, yeah, we're sure. I said, oh my God. He goes, well, I'm going to set you up with a surgeon who works right next door.
Mhm.
She can see you today. So would that be okay? Or do you want to come in on like Friday? I said, right now. So hung up, called my daughter right away. Just stunned, you're just kind of going through some motions, right? And then
Mhm.
so weird. The second person I called was my boss.
Okay.
And he's a young guy. I think he was like 36 at the time. I mean, he's
And the clueless.
Yeah, and so I thought, oh shoot, but he really just said whatever you need to do. He's a real family man. So I kept working, and then I had my appointment, saw the surgeon, and she says we don't have the stuff back from the biopsy yet from the labs, so it could be something easy. Just we cut it out. It's so tiny. You maybe get some radiation, and you're done, right?
Yeah.
So I said, okay. So then the first thing I said was, what should I eat? What should I not eat? So the first thing she said was no alcohol.
Yeah.
I said, okay, I can do that. And then she says, don't eat any processed meats. She goes, we tell our kids not to smoke, but then we send them to school with a bologna sandwich.
Mhm.
And processed meat is one of the worst things you can eat, even now without having cancer, right?
Right.
So that first day, and my team, I went to Orange Coast Memorial. It's part of the Memorial Care, I guess. And they had a team like Sima set up where I had an oncologist and I had my radiologist. Everything was in one building.
It was the scariest thing, wasn't it? Just come for them in and out. And
well, I had different appointments. So I found out in the middle of July. By the middle of August, I had my first chemo. I mean, it was that fast. I mean, I had EKG, I had blood tests, I had an MRI. That was, I thought would be scary. I've had now 3 of them since. It's not really a big deal because it's not the big tube anymore where you go in and you feel claustrophobic. It's kind of like an open donut.
Yeah.
So that was nice. And they let me listen to music. So, and then to tell people was really hard. You're right. I mean, because, I tell my sister, and I know my ex, my daughter told my ex-husband, and it's just, this weird having to. So once I told my core, I said, you can just let people know. Mm-hmm. And I remember a call from a friend. I saw my phone ring and she doesn't usually call me. So I pick up the phone and she goes, well, damn. first thing she said. And, because I mean, like to break the ice, right? And I said, yeah, I know. And you hear people say, how can this happen to me? My dad had leukemia years and years ago. And he's since passed, but he asked my sister and I, how did this happen? I've always been super healthy, like 90, like your dad, walked, ate good food, just lived good and clean, right? And my sister goes, Papa, it's just genetics, or maybe, way in the past somebody had it, right? And it got passed down. But in that same week, I did a genetic testing. They tested for 67 types of cancer. Everything came back clear. It would have been something where then I would tell my daughter, you need to be checked at an early age. But it came back completely clear. My sister went and got her genetic testing done because of it, and she's clear too. So this was a bad mutation that didn't get released out of the body. It was just, my surgeon says it was just one of those things,
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. Sima, you mentioned that you were getting your mammograms every single year.
Absolutely.
And so were you, right, Ramona? You were getting them every 12 months. So how interesting. And this is exactly what we found out last week too, Sarah, right, with Roxanne.
Absolutely.
So, and this is really like so prevalent in the breast cancer community. We're all getting it consistently, and you're finding it in the midst of it, that window period.
One that in March, no, was it in January? I had the vaccine, January 2021. And right after the vaccine, so after my second vaccine, the first one I had December 2020. And then, several weeks later, I had the Pfizer 20. I had my other vaccine. And I had these huge golf balls underneath my arm, and all my lymph nodes were like, I had maybe 2 golf balls. I couldn't even move my arm.
Wow.
My lymph nodes were inflamed. And they said that was like one of the side effects of some of these shots. So I don't know if that was relevant, but that lasted good 4 months. So, and I don't know if it triggered something, because they diagnosed me so 6 months after my vaccine. I don't know. Maybe it has nothing to do with anything, but all I know, I had huge, like
your
3
lymph
inch,
nodes were inflamed.
3 inch balls.
Yeah.
Huge.
I couldn't put my hand down. I had to sleep with, with the pillow.
Oh, wow.
Yes, that's the only thing. Or, we're women. I'm postmenopause. Maybe it's like 1 out of 3. So I'm one
out of 8. Yeah.
Is it 1 out of 8?
1 out of 8.
It's a good number. It's a better number. I like that.
And actually, Ramona, did you feel anything? I know you do your breast self exams every month. You didn't feel anything.
So once my oncologist, when she felt around, she goes, it's right here. So when she, took her hand, and had me feel it, then I could feel it. Yeah. But I mean, after my 3rd round of chemo, I couldn't feel it anymore. So I had her feel it. And she says, no, it looks like it's doing its, chemo's doing what it's supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
So,
So tell us a little about the process. If, how you, after the diagnosis, you guys had similar yet different type of a diagnosis and stage. You looked into and discussed with your doctor the process and what you're going to go through. Tell us a little about, what that was and how you became that warrior woman. Because I know personally, I watched you, Sima, go through it, and that inner warrior came out, and you came out victorious. And I know at the end you are going to have that victorious news. And I want to hear about yours as well, Ramona. So tell us really briefly exactly what the diagnosis was, and then the process, and how that inner warrior came out and you conquered.
I didn't take it personally.
That's very
I
good.
mean,
I like that.
yeah, I didn't. I'm like, okay, it's a difficulty. It's a challenge in your life, in my life. So, everybody has. And then I never said, why me? Because people were saying, oh, why you? You're such a good person. Like, why not me?
Mhm.
Why not? There are a lot of good people, and why should I be different? So this happens. This happens to you. That attitude was not part of my deal. What was the question?
The
So
process.
So
process.
yeah.
The process. So they diagnosed me with two kinds of cancers. One was ductal carcinoma,
Mhm.
and the other one was adenocarcinoma.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that means, both of them. So they said, you have two kinds of cancers. I'm like, well, of course, I need to have designer things going on. So it was going to be four kinds of chemos. It was going to be, first they were going to give me 6 sessions, and then they were going to do the surgery. It was going to last 9 hours. And then they were so like, you're going to do it. I saw so much pity in their eyes. I'm like, really? You guys are professionals. You're pitying me. You should help me. I didn't say it out loud, but they were like, oh, you're going to help. 1 year is going to be hell, and then it's going to get better. Okay. So after I went around, I picked my Dr. Shirinian. I have to give him a shout out because he's the best. He's the best human being and the best oncologist in the world. He's amazing. So Dr. Shirinian, and I hired somebody from Penguin. So
What's
everybody
Penguin?
encouraged. Penguin is a company. It's you rent these caps that freeze your head so you don't lose your hair
Oh,
during.
wow.
Ramona,
Yeah,
did
this
you do
is.
that?
No, I was bald as you know, and
No,
I loved it.
I
To be honest
was
with you, I loved
I
it.
was
Right, Nighty?
encouraged. I was encouraged, actually, strongly encouraged by everybody who knew me to do this because USC said, "Oh, don't do it," and then City of Hope said, "Don't do it," and then they called said, "Oh, do it, do it." It's like 50-50 chance, but that's not true. It's 80% chance.
So this is actually very, have you heard of it, Sarah? I've never heard of this.
Yeah, a
Well,
couple of my friends have gotten it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And it
you wear
worked.
these hats, it
It
freezes
freezes your
Oh,
follicles.
follicles.
it's
Okay.
probably as difficult as a chemo
Wow.
Yeah, because it freezes
because
it's like brain freeze.
Yeah.
so you sit there and you hire these guys. His name was Vincent. He was another one of my angels. He would take care of me. He brings these caps. They're like Velcro caps, and they're minus 32 degrees Fahrenheit.
Jesus. Wow.
And they switch it every 20 minutes. So you don't relax for not 1 second of rest in 9 hours. And this, yeah, they have to do it 9 or 10 hours. So every 20 minutes, and they would take it up and put a new one, take it up. And it was like you kind of wrap it around.
And so you kept your hair, Sima,
I
right?
kept my hair. I
Okay,
kept my
wow.
hair. Of course, the quality wasn't the same, but it was good for my morale.
Yeah.
I went to work. Oh, in the beginning, I didn't want to tell anyone, just immediate family. That's it. But then I'm like, okay, my coworkers, my people are going to say, what's wrong with this woman? So why don't I share? And when I shared with my employees and my colleagues, I think that was the most liberating. Everything changed.
Liberating.
Something.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh, this amount of support. And I didn't know how much I needed that support.
Yeah.
I didn't know, like, my phone wouldn't stop. My house looked like, just pouring. I didn't have visitors. I didn't want visitors, very few, but like flowers and candies. People would ask me, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want to eat? And with the kind of chemo that they were giving me, I couldn't taste anything. It was like everything tasted like metal. I wouldn't even drink water.
Yeah.
It was just awful. It was one of the but before chemo, they would give me steroids. Now that was worse because I would just jump off the walls. I would tell people I'm taking pills. So anything I say,
Don't take it against me.
don't take it. I would go crazy. Oh my God, those
Yeah.
steroids. They made me plump and fat. And it was awful. But you just have to you have to laugh.
Yes. So I have a question, Sima, and then same question for you, Ramona. What was that one thing? For some people, it's faith. For others, is their family, their son, their child. But what was the driving force for you that kept you fighting and moving forward?
Oh, it was work. I looked at this like it's my work right now. It's my project. I looked at it and I did it. My doctors were telling me I was the best patient because I did everything A to Z, like everything, including research and anything they told me, I did it. The only thing I couldn't do, drink the amount of water they wanted me to drink. I wouldn't even drink 8 ounces of water a day. I couldn't. But I looked at it as work. It's
Yeah.
like, you
And
have to do it. There's no
I can
choice.
see that. I can see that definitely. And I witnessed that with Sima. And what about you, Ramona? What was that one thing?
Well, like I mentioned before, and Heidi knows her, I have a daughter who's, at the time was 22, and it's like, this is too soon to go. I want to see her get married. She had a boyfriend. Well, actually, no, she had just broken up I got cancer the next week. She and her boyfriend broke up. Like, right.
Boy.
I said, look, we both have some things to go through.
That was disrupt. Then maybe your mind was
at
that versus.
So they're back together and they're going to get married now. But anyway, that's the story. But yeah, I had 2 friends who always checked in. I did a wellness check every day, 7 out of 10. So for me, I had my chemo on Wednesdays. I felt good Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And on Sunday morning, I woke up and I had that metal taste. Mm-hmm. I was tired. And then so Sunday through Thursday, I worked, because I work from home. I just, in the afternoon, I would tell my work partner, I got to close up for a couple of hours and take a nap. And I'm telling you, I would drag myself upstairs and I would sleep for 2 hours and then came back and finished. But I worked through my whole chemo, except for the chemo day. And I didn't have a cold cap. They never offered it to me. But yeah, I had a shaving party. And as Nadia knows,
I like that.
Oh yeah, Ramona had golden locks, like this long blonde hair her entire life. And tell us about that, how you felt, because that was your signature, your hair.
Yeah, well, so I got a cut shoulder length and for a while. And then, then after the first round, and 2 weeks after that, I could feel it coming out. So called up my girl real quick and said, we need to do this. So a bunch of my friends came over to her house and she put out a spread, beer, wine, sodas, water, a little, charcuterie and stuff. And got it on video and she shaved it off. And I'm telling you, it was, I still miss it. Now I still have hair all over the place, but I was bald for probably a year. How long was it? A year, maybe a year and a couple of months. It started growing in right after the last chemo, right? It starts growing again, but it's like a Marine.
Yeah.
Little tiny. Yeah. And then it got really curly. Every step of it was really cool to me. So, to me that it didn't matter. And my sweet oncologist, she kind of told me everything along the way, because I said, I don't think I can do chemo. She goes, you can do it. She goes, I see people here that come in, they're sick, they're overweight, they've got other problems, and they go through it and they're just fine. She goes, you're gonna be fine. So, and she was, shout out to Dr. Sarah Hassan. she's only like 34 and she's 37 now, but was really young.
Well, shout out to Dr. Hassan and Dr. Shirvanian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Iranian.
And she's friends with,
Iranian.
Shirinian, very good.
we're friends now. We're,
Yeah.
we're
And
on,
Ramona, I know one of your strong suits is you're very organized. You're very, meticulous. You've got your schedule, your routine. And did that routine and that scheduling, did that help you?
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
of course it does. Yep. And, with what I ate, I knew on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I felt great, did my shopping, got my blueberries, had everything set. So for 5 days, I was shut down.
Yeah.
Like she said, you don't want anyone coming over because you're immunocompromised, right?
Yeah.
But people would come and, stand at my door, and it was nice. I mean, it's kind of like checking out, kind of like how COVID was nice for us to be at home. And,
Yeah.
I just love being at home anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was,
And knowing you laughed your way through this process and through this journey. You really did. It's amazing. Both of you ladies are
such an eye-opener.
amazing spirits. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, and if, I kind of want to go back, I mean, and your organization skills and that ability really helped you. And it seems like it's helped you focus as well to get through the process, Ramona, which is amazing. And
I got a binder. Your first
You
thing
got a
is get a
binder?
binder, right? Put everything in it.
that's great. Did faith play a role? It played a role in my journey really quickly. Did it play a role in your journey?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Prayed all the time. People prayed for you, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that this is just a challenge that was given, and in some way, and I don't know if you guys felt this way, but for me, it was just I'm used as God as an example, and he will help me get through it. And in my case, it was like I had things to do, and I was going to get through cancer, and I was going to have my family, and I was going to raise my family. And I'm assuming it's the same for you. You had, Ramona, you had plans, and Sima, I know definitely you had plans. So really very briefly, I mean, was that focus point for you guys as well, where you were focusing on an end goal?
I was focusing day by day, taking
by day.
one day at a time.
Yeah, you do have to do that.
And
Yeah.
also, I was so concerned about this. I'm so stupid. I was concerned about disappointing. I was concerned about disappointing my daughter, because my poor daughter, she would go dress shopping and we would do FaceTime. We FaceTime like throughout the whole experience that she had. Last time when she found the dress, I went with her to her last store where she finalized it. But I didn't get to experience that with her. It was through FaceTime. Just the whole wedding preparation, I was checked out.
But Sima,
I completely didn't know what's going on.
you know what gift you are giving your daughter? Of your life.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Yes. To be around in the long term.
Definitely.
Is she married now?
She's married. Yes, she's married.
Good.
And my kids, and also they never doubted. They were never scared that they're gonna lose their mom.
My mom.
Not for a second. They thought like, okay, whatever, this is thing and it will go away, because they didn't understand. And I didn't want to correct them. I didn't want to be the victim. I'm like, yeah, well, and I play the cancer card in a funny way, constantly. And they're like, Mom, are you going to play the cancer card? Yeah, I'm playing the cancer card. Just try to make it funny, because you have to make it funny. Otherwise,
humor to
it's
it.
scary.
Yeah. What about you, Ramona?
Well, also we talk about faith. I have a really good friend who came to my shaving party. She came for my surgery, because you could still come for surgeries before COVID. I just had a lumpectomy. And earlier this year, she's very big, and she got this support bra with the underwire, and it kind of dug into her side. And after she took it off, and didn't wear it, one side went away, the indent and the pain, and the other side it stayed. And she felt like a lump, and I said, you better just go get that checked out. So she checked, She had a biopsy, and they just took a long time to get back to us. If they're taking a long time, it's probably not anything. And it came back as cancer, triple negative, like you, Sima.
Oh my God.
And-
No, I'm triple positive.
Oh,
Triple negative
okay.
is very bad.
It is. Okay, triple positive. So she's going through the process now. So she had to do 6, or she had to do
Is
12.
she triple negative?
Triple negative, yeah. She had to do 12 once a week, and then she did the 6 like I did. And so now she's all done. And now she's gonna have the surgery and then the radiation. But when my doctor said it was gonna be a whole year process, you're like, God, a whole year. But I'm telling you, that year goes by so fast. And now I say I'm now 2 years in remission. I say my surgery date, because when they went in, there was nothing in there. It was completely blank.
Yeah.
That to me is
Oh, wow.
What would you guys, if you were to, this conversation is wonderful and I can sit for hours listening and talking. But if as we're kind of coming to the end, what is that one thing that you would tell women? What would you tell them? What would your message be for women? It could be women with cancer who just got diagnosed. It could be women in general. It could be anything. What would your uplifting message be?
I'll go first. If you want.
Yes, please go.
Well, I like Nadi said, her sister and I are best friends, and we always say health first. And my dad even would say that. He'd write on a card, good luck and good health. And then he would sign his name for, our birthday cards or Christmas cards.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can have money and things and more money. If you don't have your health, it means absolutely nothing.
Amen.
I mean, I can't stress that enough. I went on vacation, I ate sweets every day, which I'm not going to stop that today. But if you don't have your health and feel good, got nothing.
Yeah.
So health first.
Health first.
Health first.
Sima?
Well, if any woman, and this is first of all, this is a popular disease. This is not the end of the world. They need to understand it. It's not happening to them, only to them. We're not victims just because we have cancer.
Right.
Absolutely not. We're just one of many. One has cancer, one has heart attack, everybody has something. We're aging, so this is normal. So if we understand that this is normal and we educate ourselves and try to get to the bottom of it and try to, there is so much out there. I mean, we live in a country that has best of the best. We take it and we don't become victims and we deal with it.
Right.
You'll come out of it.
So basically have a victor mentality.
You have to. And faith, I mean, I really, yes, my faith always helped me, but I don't want to ask God to help me. I want to thank God. I want to thank God for today.
Wow.
I want to
beautiful.
show gratitude. I don't help
Medicine,
me. No.
For surgeons
So,
and everything.
Yeah. But just try to, hopefully somebody that listens today to this podcast and who's had similar experience, or their cousin or somebody will say, oh, wait a minute, look, this woman had 2 kinds of cancer, 9 hours of chemo and double mastectomy and radiation. My daughter's shower day, I was cooked.
Yeah.
I mean, I had 30-degree burns and
Wow.
like, what are you going to do?
But you're still here, Sima, and you're staying.
Oh, I'm not going
Absolutely.
anywhere. I have to. And I told my kids I'm going to hang around so I can annoy them. So,
Are you done? Are you done with your radiation? I mean, are you done with everything?
I'm done with my radiation, but now because I'm a HER2 positive as well, after I've done chemo and the surgery and the radiation, I'm still continuing with Herceptin. So it's still I'm continuing,
Immunotherapy.
and yes, and then I am doing I'm taking two kinds of pills that are also different kind of a chemo. And I really, okay, so what? People take blood pressure medicine.
Mm-hmm.
So
I like the mindset, and I think that's 80% of the battle. It's your
Absolutely.
mindset.
well,
Absolutely.
what else
I
can you
love,
do?
I,
Look
I
at
love,
Sarah. Sarah was young, newlywed. She's
Mm-hmm.
diagnosed with cancer. Her mother died. I mean, it was disaster. And I just met her, and I'm like, this young kid, how is she handling all that?
Was it breast cancer also?
it was breast cancer. It was. And my mom had passed away recently from cancer. And then my dad had his own health issues. But what I want to say is, and I want to point out, and I think your messages were fantastic. I mean, Ramona, you said health. Sima, you said, that you are not a victim, you are a victor. And we are one of many women, unfortunately, but we are one of many women, and life kind of happens. And I really liked what you said. I'm gonna thank God. And I like that. That's such a positive and strong message. And I hope all the ladies out there really hear that. And and there's a lot of diseases out there, but none of it stops us from becoming that warrior women and becoming victorious at the end. And you two are wonderful examples of that. And I thank you for sharing your story with us and sharing your experience and sharing that positive that you come out of it glorious. So
that's amazing. Thank you, ladies. It was wonderful. We learned so much from you, from your courageous spirit. And Sarah, you said something earlier. You said that, I felt like God was like, I'm being used, or like an instrument, or whatever, the whole reason for this. And it kind of brought up something, once upon a time I read a book, the title was God Never Wastes a Hurt. So every hurt, every pain that we go through, He's using it for something down the line. So I firmly believe, Sarah, for sure, I know where you're headed with your mission of, everything that you've gone through, what you're going to use it towards. The platform that you have is amazing. And you, Sima, and you, Ramona, everything that happened to you is for a reason. You may not know it yet, but this is going to be used towards something amazing. Again, we're here. Everything we go through is so that we are examples, and we are that walking testimony for others to learn from and draw strength from. So with that said, we have to remember that breast cancer is not a death sentence. And when caught early, it has an extremely high rate of survival. So therefore, education, prevention, early detection, screening, mammograms, right? Breast self-exams, very, very important. So ladies out there, everyone tuning in, do your breast self-exams, talk to each other, talk about this, especially in the month of October, educate each other and do your mammograms. And with that said, thank you so much for these three amazing warriors tonight, Sarah, Ramona, and Sima. May God bless you, and we look forward to seeing you again. And until next time, everyone, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and all Apple Podcast streaming channels, YouTube, and stay healthy and do your breast self-exams.
thank you.
Have a beautiful night.
Thank you for joining us today. For more engagement, you can find us at The Avanti Woman on all social and media platforms. Follow us on Instagram, join our community group on Facebook to chat, subscribe to our YouTube for our latest videos. You can rate us 5 stars on Spotify and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Thank you for helping us reach even more Avanti women just like you.